Well, hello, how's it going? It's me, Generic Pi, back with another video for you today. This is a game I just played about an hour or two ago against Biz. I think it's pronounced Biz. I think it's short for Byzantine Empire. It might be Biz. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with Biz for this recording. Biz is a really good player. I think it's the first time I might have played him, actually. But yeah, really, really good player, really nice guy. And we had a pretty interesting game. So I thought I'd make a vid. I was playing as a shadow this time. I think I've been making a lot of free people videos, so I thought it'd be nice to mix it up. Show a shadow game. Also, I kind of want to improve my shadow game as much as possible, so always looking for hints and tips and whatnot. I feel like I've improved quite a lot as free people, and my shadow's fallen a little bit by the wayside, feels a little bit rusty. So any tips would be great. I've been trying to implement more of Bahili's, having chatted with Bahili, the approach of really trying to cross-play the free people's dice and looking at your dice and figuring out how you can use those dice to exploit the weaknesses in the free people's dice, force them into awkward decisions, that kind of thing. And I think I'm getting there, but still I think there's room for improvement. So anyway, so we got these rolls. I went with one eye, because he had a dwarven ring, and I'm a bit wary of him getting lots of free movement against if he rolls two and then gets a third, and then against 0 eyes or something like that. So went with one eye, got just the one muster, which isn't ideal in terms of cards, and he gets a pretty rough roll as well. I got Olokai and Wormtongue. He gets Red Arrow and Bilbo's Song, so you don't really want Bilbo's first thing. So my thinking here is basically get Sauron to war, get up to Old Forest Road, so before he can get a guy in there, because he does have scouts, of course, as we can see here, because he doesn't have a hybrid and he wants to use his will to move. And then because I have Olokai, that gives me a nice use for this Palantir as well. I suppose I could have drawn a card, maybe tried to draw into something like Orcs multiplying again, but I want to move these armies to 10 anyway, so it's not, and I wouldn't have a die to play that with anyway. So I think this is a solid use of this turn. So Biz moves. Not hit. I get Sauron to war. He gets the elves down. I move army up, also into Gorgoroth. Let me just turn this down, actually, so we don't get any annoying dice rolling throughout the video. Gets the elves close to war. So it looks like he's just, trying to make sure that he can definitely muster at least one elf into Woodland Realm. Gives me an early Witch King, but I think it's a good trade-off. And given my lack of musters, I might still only get 1 million next turn anyway. Get into Old Forest Road. He draws a strategy card, gets Spirit of Mordor, another Scouts, and I play Olokai. It's a pretty straightforward turn, and then he uses the token to get the elves fully to war. So good value for that. He draws Danes and Grey Company. So Danes is very useful for obviously dealing with the Jew line. And I get Lure of the Ring and Many Kings to the service of Mordor. Okay, cool. Righty-ho. So I get this roll. He musters an elite. I get a guy into Woodland Realm. I put Woodland Realm on the siege. He passes. I decided to draw a card here. I've got so many cards. The only card, I could play Many Kings, but I'm thinking maybe use that for a Great Host. Not sure. Thinking about using that for a Great Host in Woodland Realm. He passes. I get a Witch King. He moves a Fellowship. They're hidden a single die. That's very lucky. And it's a reveal. Gandalf dies. I don't know why I said thank you there, but anyway. So I decide this is a mistake. I should have just played Lure of the Ring here, because now Gandalf is gone. That would have been a really strong use of that. I was almost like so I draw a strategy card. I think I was looking for a die to be able to play in Woodland Realm that wouldn't. So that meant I could use this to play Many Kings with the other Palantir, and maybe just saving Lure of the Ring for later or something. But I think it would have been a nice time to play Lord of the Ring. So a little mistake there, maybe. He flips using the hybrid. I decide to get one dude onto the... When they've been revealed pre Moria, I think there's more value in this type of play, trying to get some value out of rerolls. Biz plays the red arrow, gets a Rohan closer to war. And then with my final hybrid, I then play many kings. So it kind of worked out. Yeah. And we go on to turn number 3. So I draw Horde from the east / Deadly Strife, led us I, and Biz gets another Scouts. He must have discarded a Scouts there, I'm presuming, or did he play it? I can't remember. So all 3 Scouts have been drawn super early. And file, okay. So Biz gets this really nice roll, which means he can almost certainly get Gandalf this turn, presuming the Fellowship are... no, he's obsessed. Sorry, Gandalf's already dead, so we can get Gandalf this turn. And what do I think about this turn? So I believe my thoughts were obviously get Isengard to war, get the shit wizard, the evil shit wizard, Saruman. What else was I thinking? In terms of, I don't really have. Obviously, I can play Lord of the Ring if he gets revealed. Maybe play the Deadly Strife into Woodland Realm, cycle cards, ready up armies to go and put Erebor under siege. Maybe just kind of get armies into position. I think I might have been considering looking, because I want to play Rage of the Dunlendings at some point, but this feels too early to play Rage of the Dunlendings. So yeah, a bit of a kind of setup turn. So he moves a Fellowship. I miss. I say bad Dunlending. I get Isengard to war. He says no Nazgul Search or anything. Yeah, so I haven't got anything to kind of reveal the Fellowship through going through Moria annoyingly. He moves again. I miss. But then the Dunlending does his job. And I say good Dunlending. So that was very good Dunlending. He draws an eye. So there's the value of getting dudes on for rerolls. That's pretty huge, getting those two tiles there. And so that takes corruption up to 1. And then I draw another one. So it takes corruption up to 2. Now I play Lord of the Ring. So kind of same difference, really. You play it at some point. Yeah, I think that's fine. Draw Legolas. By Legolas. He dies. I don't have Morgul Wound, unfortunately. So now I decide to, because I want to play the Deadly Strife, and Deadly Strife can backfire. So I do want to get as many rerolls out of that as possible. And I want to kind of, my military is pretty damn slow so far. So I think it would be good to try and eke out as many rerolls from the Fellowship, slow them down as much as possible. I feel like this might be a game where I might lead to lean corruption out of necessity, because it's turn 3 and I'm only really pressuring 1 stronghold and he already has the elves to war. So it's not looking great from a military perspective. So yeah, he gets Gandyman into Fangorn. I go for Woodland Realm. I think, I don't love playing Deadly Strife straight off the bat, but it's the only, I want to save my rage. So I think it's legit. Got to just hope he doesn't have a daylight or something. But he plays no card, which is handy. Yeah, so what cards? Because I saw he's got 3 strategy cards. I was like, shit, he's going to play something. But he's got 2 scouts and he's saving Danes. So yeah, kind of perfect situation for me. He's got nothing really playable there. And I get the hits, 4 hits, which is good. He gets 3 back, which is solid. I'm able to press draw another unplayable card. So I no card it, and I get my 6, and he gets 2 back. So he's done quite a lot of damage to me. That was only 1 hit back, actually, yeah, because he did the reroll with the dice roll. So taking down Woodland Realm, which is good. He flips the Fellowship, and I draw a card because my hand's full of rubbish cards. I don't care about Lidless Eye. I've got 2 Devilries. I don't need 2 Devilries, really. So I think I'm happy to discard 2 cards next turn. Let's see if I can draw a nice, useful, whatever, a Corsairs or just something handy that I can either play in combat to cycle cards or just, maybe game change if I get a new Paris Rising or something. So I get a Return of the Witch King. We go turn 4. He gets Kindred and Challenge the King. So what does he get rid of here? Brave Stand. And Grimbjorn, so one of the scouts. Okay, and I get rid of Lidless Eye, and I'm guessing Wormtongue. No, I keep Wormtongue specifically so I have a way of cycling character cards because I'm wary of, I'm going to play Foul Thing from the Deep to attack the Fellowship, and I would like to have another character card in case I want to cycle character cards. So I get rid of one of my... What did I get rid of? One of the Devry of All Thanks, yeah, which I think is fine. It's not a great card. So I roll a bunch of eyes, so 3 in the box. And he gets this roll with lots of, 2 Palantirs. Anyway, so he moves the Fellowship. They are missed, and Nazgul doesn't do anything. I was thinking about playing Foul Thing from the Deep, but I figure that gives him a nice usage of a kind of... if I reveal him, then he's going to go to Path Caliban, and I effectively lose my reroll if he does another move this turn, which he probably will. So I'd rather let him use his dice, and then when he's got fewer dice left, then maybe I actually he uses dice for other purposes, and he doesn't have a die to hide with later in the turn, or it limits his options. So I decide to wait to play the Foul Thing. I start getting the Southrons down, kind of moves I need to do by necessity. Start readying armies, basically the Southrons and Eastlings all over the map. My plan is to get Erebor under siege at some point, and also I can't do it this turn because I don't have the dice, but I want to get ideally Dol Amroth under siege with him only being able to do 1 or hopefully 0 musters. He moves the Fellowship again. They are hit twice. 0 reveal into Eastern Met. Where do I go here? Combine an East Rune and get the army in Morannon active. He hides. So now he's hidden. Now I play Foul Thing. It does potentially give him a use for his Palantir, but it means he's not playing something else. It means he's going to have to discard cards, I guess. If I reveal him, which I don't, but I still kill. I don't kill. I allow that sneaky hobbit to escape. But he can't go 2. Can't go 2. Slow down, Mr. Hobbit. Come back. That's right. Get to Western Met, you little bitch. And then he plays File. And what am I planning to do here? Okay, so I want to be able to... My thinking was I want to be able to cycle some character cards. So it would be nice to get the guys to East Runes. When I attack the guy in Iron Hills, I can play a card and cycle Wormtongue, which seems like a nice option. He then gets a Dwarf. So this is a really nice move by Biz. So what Biz does is makes it so if I do attack Iron Hills, he will be able to instantly muster into Erebor, which is a really lovely play. And it does kind of... One of the kind of stock early moves for the Free People is to move the lone dwarf from Iron Hills into Erebor. And it makes a lot of sense because it buffs up Erebor, and it's a good usage of a half move. But at the same time, in these kind of situations, being able to use that 1 muster, especially if you're holding his scouts as well, it's really handy to have the guy in Iron Hills because it makes Erebor, basically presuming you have a muster, guarantees you a muster within Erebor of an elite. And he's also holding, as we know, Danes. So, he can really, really make Erebor a fortress here. And these armies are not going to be enough to take it down unless I get pretty damn lucky. So I don't know that. I'm kind of walking into a bit of a trap in Erebor. So I tried to attack Iron Hills, but I'm stupid. I forget the Southrons are at war. So instead, I decide to probably make more efficient usage of this die and do some army moves instead. So and also by moving the leadership, I managed to get this Nazgul back onto Eastern Met. So good job, Nazgul. So I moved from Daggerlad to there. I suppose this move, you could be more efficient and go straight to North Ithilien, but I'd rather get this under siege without activating the Gondorians, getting them to war. And also, dodges Faramir's Rangers, which can be really dodgy, and also gives me the option, if the dice fall such, that I could do a charge into Helm's Deep. if he doesn't get any hybrids or wills. So gives me options. A little bit slower, but I think there are a lot of pros there. Okay, I draw Cruel Weather. Love that. And Monsters Roused. Still want to keep my Worm Tongue for cycling purposes, because otherwise I'm not going to play Cruel Weather as a card effect. So I do get rid of one of my Small Bats. So I've got 2 Small Bats. I've got a bunch of other decent combat cards, so I'm not too like. It's nice to have Small Bats, but I'm not sure if I need 2. So he uses his will to turn, sorry, not the will, Dwarven Ring, to turn one of his many Palanters into a muster. And this is a good turn to have musters, because I'm going to be able to most certainly get Dol Amroth under siege and also Erebor under siege. So you want to be able to do 1 muster in each of those. So that is strong. So he moves the Fellowship, one eye. I forget to roll the hunt. And then Nazgul hits him. Good Nazgul. Yes, good Nazgul. So that reveals him there with an eye. He hides. I now go for Iron Hills. And this is maybe a mistake. I decide to kind of gamble on him not having a scouts to some extent. I suppose, given the fact he could have a scout, and I know he's going to be able to muster in. This is a mistake. What I should have done this turn, this is like objectively an error, I think, is I should have gone straight to Dale. Like, I'm kind of conditioned to think, like, when you are going for Erebor, try to avoid taking Dale early, because you just involved to get the North to war, and it's awkward, and, maybe he can go into here. He has a scouts, as we know. If I do that, I'm probably obliged to play some more bats. Here, less so. But I decide I do want to cycle character cards. This is the only opportunity to do that this turn, to try and slow him down. So I do that. But yeah, I think this was an error. So I do get to cycle. What do I cycle into? A red tile. Okay, so that's good. I do want a red tile. That has a lot of value, obviously. So yeah. That kind of worked out to some extent, but not in terms of taking Erebor, because now he's going to muster into Erebor. I now have to put Erebor under siege. He's got bloody, Danes. So yeah, this is bad. Very bad. I move the Fellowship. They are not hit. I Cruel Weather him. Straight back onto my Nazgul. He says this Nazgul is persistent. He cannot get enough. Very persistent Nazgul. And now I've got just enough dice to get Dol Amroth under siege, allowing him only a single muster, which is good. That's pretty ideal. I should be able to hopefully take that as long as he doesn't have Kirdans. I mean, if he does have Kirdans or Imrahil, I'm in trouble. But hopefully he doesn't. As we can see, he doesn't. I attack Lamadon, and he plays Swords and Eriador. Okay. He says he did his best. Well, not really. He missed both times. So that guy sucked. So I leave 1 behind because I don't want to give him a cheap retake of Pell from Osgiliath. He musters once. I put it under siege. And then he decides to pass. He's thinking about using the token, decides not to. I go for Erebor. And I think the idea here was I've got a pretty full hand. I can cycle cards. I can try and get this down, see if I can do some damage. And see if I need to reinforce. Just kind of testing the waters, cycling cards. Yeah. Right. So, Desperate Battle. Yeah, go straight into Advantageous. So, great play there by Biz. And what would have been 2 hits ends up being 0 hits, and he gets a cool 4 hits back. I say, ouchie. He says, nice one, dwarves. And yeah, I'm suddenly thinking, like, I have a feeling I'm not going to take Erebor this game. Probably better to give up the ghost on that one. That is looking like a lost cause, and, sunken cost fallacy. You just keep banging your head against the wall. I don't think that is going to be a smart use of my time and energy this game. So I think so much for that plan. I draw Shelobs and New Powers Rising. Biz says getting value out of advantageous feels like winning. I didn't actually see him write that in the game. It feels like winning a mini game. It's true. There is kind of an art to. I mean, is there an art to playing advantageous position? When you get it right, you do feel like a bit of a genius, and that you can kind of read to some extent. You can kind of guess. Like there are a lot of strategy cards where it is useful. Probably like I don't know, half of the strategy cards. Good against Devilry. Good against. Desperate Battle, good against Relentless Assault, good against Deadly Strike. It's great against a lot of cards. With the characters, it's a bit iffy because you could come up against they are terrible. But it's good against Cruel as Death. It's a good card. Good card. So he flips away from the Nazgul. Gets 3 eyes, so 4 eyes in the box. But then he rolls this. So I'm like, this is an interesting one because he obviously can get into Mordor this turn, but he's going to have to take some risks because you're going to get hit a lot, most likely. You might be able to get away with one move without getting hit. But if moving twice against 4 eyes, you're very, very likely to get hit on the second move and the third move, maybe all 3 moves. And does he really want to? I'm not doing that much this turn. I've got a pretty skimpy roll. Does he need to move that fast? Maybe not. What would you do, people? Would you go sprinting for Mordor at all costs? I mean, like, where am I getting my victory points here? I'm going to be able to probably take Dol Amroth. That takes me up to 5. Where am I getting the rest of my victory points? My current thinking this turn, if I recall correctly, was to this is where I was kind of like the cross-pressuring the dice thing, is he's going to want to move the Fellowship. And if I can play New Powers Rising, I can play Rage of the Dunlendings, I can use 1 muster to get an elite, and then I can play The Shadow is Moving to move a bunch of guys around the map to do efficient moves, and then put Rivendell under siege. So in theory, luckily he's also just played Kindred, which I'm aware of, which is obviously helps a lot. So ideally I can get this under siege with maybe 1 muster. It's not going to be probably not a big enough army to take it, but then I could later draw. Actually, having said that, the only forward mustering card left in the deck that would be helpful is Half Orcs and Goblin Men. So that is a 1 in 13 chance. So I might be a little bit short to take this, but it seemed like as good a target as I'm going to get in this game. So he didn't draw. He gets Thranduils and another Ent card. So he's got 2 Ent cards. Still got Bilbos. So he does some kind of protective army moves. I guess he wants to make sure that I can't just do a charge. I'm not going to do a charge into Helm's Deep just yet, but I do have a New Powers Rising, which is good for that type of thing. He says up to no good. Moves the Fellowship. They are missed. I say boo. Because, boo. God damn it. He says it's because they aren't with that Nazgul. He's key to all of this. And I say he's the true Witch King, Nazgul number 7. And he says only other canon Nazgul is Kamul. So this can be whatever you want. And I say Brian. So this is Brian the Nazgul number 7. So I continue with my plan. Muster in North Dunland. He draws a card. Don't know what he's looking for there. But he gets Mirror. I play my Rage. So he could muster here twice, but he'd have to use a ring. And is it optimal? Don't necessarily think so. He gets the muster in. I play Shadows Moving, which oopsie. So so that readies up armies. I'm surprised I didn't move the gut. Oh yeah, I still need to take Dol Amroth. That's why I didn't move out of Dol Amroth. Yep, still need to actually win that fight. And then he plays Heroic Death to change it to a muster. To a will. What is the reason for that will? What does he want to do with the will? I guess he doesn't have a good use for his Palantir. There's nothing in his hand that he wants to use with that Palantir. I mean, you can't play Thranduils. Don't really need to play Dane. Probably save that for the Valor at this point. Or it's like, you still don't want to use it yet. So it has this Palantir he can't really use. So changes it to a will. So that's a good use of, I like that play. It's kind of like using a ring without using a ring in a way. But I can't remember what he does with it. Anyway, I put Rivendell under siege, and he's able to muster in Minas Tirith. Okay, so that's a good play, because Minas Tirith is obviously a juicy target that's on the table. Frustrating that I couldn't get this. I'm actually, having said that, even if I did put this army onto Druiden, he was going to declare anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So we're going to turn number 7. So pretty slow fellowship, still turn 7, still not in Mordor. He draws guards, that kind of sucks for me. I get Isildur's Bane and Shadow's Gather. So that's nice. So I've got 2 potential uses of Shadow's Gather here in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, if this fails, I can muster in Moria and bring in reinforcements to take Rivendell, which is a perfect usage of it. And another usage of it would be to, if I still have dudes left over from this fight, I can then use them to reinforce Minas Tirith if that fails. So I've kind of like 2 potential options, pathways I can use for Shadow's Gather down the line. So he moves the Fellowship. I miss. I now move the Nazgul. Brian, I say, watch out, Brian's about. So Brian is back on the job to make sure these pesky hobbits don't get a cheap entry into Mordor. He says, oh no. So he moves the Fellowship. I miss. And then Brian hits him on the reroll. Love this guy. Yes. Uncanny. Oh yeah, so love this guy. Yeah, I'm just exactly the same as I was an hour and a half ago. And he gets a 3, which is excellent work. It's a random, draws Mary. So now corruption is starting to get a bit dangerous for the free people. Also, just drawing tiles, shrinking the pool. That's the main thing here. Because I've got 2 red tiles in my hand. I want to shrink the pool as much as possible. There's still a couple of 3s in there. There's some nice tiles left, but there's going to be a bunch of eyes. I can add some reds. So, corruption is a viable, backup plan for me. My military is going pretty slow, but I think this is a game where I'm not sure. Maybe if I'd committed all those dice to military, I could have been a little bit faster. But given the way the chips have fallen and the dice have come, I don't think super fast military was ever really on the card. So I think it was a good game to kind of hedge my bets, actually. I know some people are like, just use don't fuck off corruption, always go hard military. I think in this game it was quite a good opportunity to kind of hedge a bit. So I want to reveal him into Minas Morgul, so I immediately play Crawler's Death, get the 0 reveal. Happy with that. Also another good tile to get rid of the pool. And a 2. So yeah, great. Not an eye. He goes random, and it's Gimli. So efficient. But now he's just got 2 guys going into Mordor. Would have preferred those. Actually, no. Would have preferred those the other way around. It would have been nice to get Isildur's Bane 2, but at the same time, it's also nice to get 2 tiles out of the pool. He says there's still Orc Patrol. I do a smiley face. Now I want to kill Don Amroth before he can draw, because he's already gone through a third of the deck, but at some point he's going to get one of the mustering cards, so I've got to get rid of DA. What cards have I got here? I've got a nice Desperate Battle, perfect for this. So yeah, play that, get 4 hits. Yeah, no chance. He has no reroll because there's no leaders in there. Press draw into Fighting Urukai, which is really good for Rivendell. I attack, don't get any hits, press no card, kind of relying on them getting a 6 at some point. I do get a 6, he gets another 6 on a single die, so that guy was pretty tough. I say tough guy. And up to 5 victory points now, with the 3 people entering Mordor next turn. Not looking brilliant. So at this point, my plan is my final victory points are, I think my best option is going to be Minas. It's going to be hard. I don't feel great about it, but I think my best bet is going to be Minas Tirith, Rivendell, and Dale. I've got my eyes on that. Could go for Helm's Deep, but I don't love it because end cards are always out there. Helm's Deep can always go sideways, and at least I have reinforcements that I can bring into this battle. My worry about this battle is that he could bring in Gandhi. That's my main concern with Minas Tirith. If Gandhi gets in there, this size of army is super hard to take down, really, really hard. You can sometimes throw 2 full stacks and it still won't take down a Gandhi army in Minas Tirith. So now I'm eager to get all my red tiles in there before he starts moving in Mordor. So they're always lurking. Biz says, if Brian wasn't so relentless, I might have separated Aragorn. So yeah, good old Brian, man. I love that guy. So I muster in Orthanc. I didn't really have, I think at this point I probably should have actually been mustering in Moria. Yeah, I think that was probably a waste of a muster. It does put pressure on him to move his army into Helm's Deep with that die, which he then does. But yeah, I think a Moria muster would have been actually, that's a slight inaccuracy because I'm going to need reinforcements for Rivendell. Because at the moment I could play Fighting Urukai, but it's just, I don't have any rerolls in there right now. So it would be objectively a really desperate attack right now. Could still win it, but if it goes wrong, I'm kind of screwed. I don't know. What do you think? Like, would you, in a game such as this where you need to take risks, maybe the smart play is to just go for it in Rivendell with minimal dudes and just play the onslaught against 6 HP. 6 HP against 9 HP, but I don't have any good cards to play though. That's the problem. If I had a card to play, there's a good chance that if I'm not rolling sixes, he can just grind me down and then I've got a crappy army that's no good and needs tons of mustering. So I think it's reasonable to wait. He musters in Minas Tirith. I move dudes next to Minas Tirith. I say reunited. He says now Brian Solo's MT. And I start bringing the Witch King out of Lamadin. He flips the Fellowship, and then with my final trade, then I muster in Moria. Okay, so probably should have just done that earlier. And now I draw Balrog, which is useless, but Shadow lengthens, which is really handy. I don't have any actual Oliphants, so I can't play Mumakil, but I think Shadow lengthens could be useful somewhere or other. Could definitely be useful for reinforcing Minas Tirith later on if I need to. He draws King Brands and Horn of Gondor. What does he get rid of? Gets rid of King Brands. That could have been good, actually, because that's one of my victory points. That's kind of reliant on getting victory points there. Yeah, I think I would have. Let's see what else he gets rid of. Horn of Gondor. Okay, interesting. I think everything else is. I think I would have. I suppose if I combine these armies, I'm probably going to be able to take Dale anyway. It's probably not going to make a difference. But attacking with the 5-1 into Dale against a 3, that could feasibly go wrong. That's not unthinkable with no leadership. So maybe you forego one of the Ent cards, because this army ain't big enough to take this. I suppose actually looking back, I need. This is interesting, actually. Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of why it's useful to watch these videos back, because I think, in retrospect, this army was where? Western Emmanuel? Maybe you just go for Rohan. Yeah, 2 big armies, 1 really nearby. You get Edoras on the way. That's 3 victory points. And then you get your other 2 victory points up in Rivendell. That is probably... It's going to be very hard to take this mofo down, but I do have the Fighting Arrow. I kind of want to save that for up here. But I also have a Shadows. I could certainly do like some kind of Shadows lengthens to take over this efficiently. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this was an error, and I chose the wrong target. I kind of had my BDIs focused on Minas Tirith. Anyway. And I think that's actually one of the really crucial moments, like not getting too fixated on a plan and always being open to, I think, the entire board state, and being flexible and always reevaluating what is the actual best target. Because look at this. These are the same now. These are the same. And this one, okay, this is slightly closer, but I can get a victory point on the way, and I have 2 big stacks. Here I have a baby stack. Okay, I do have these guys as well. But these have a bunch of elites, which would counter a Gandalf. He has the end cards. Okay, there's a reason why I kept the end cards, because he was probably thinking that would be a really juicy target, Helm's Deep. All right. So he moves the Fellowship in Mordor. He gets 2 moves this turn. It's a 3, which I'm happy to see. He just takes Strider for efficiency's purposes, which is the correct thing to do. I draw a card. I'm kind of hunting for anything to hurt the Fellowship at this point, because I have all these character dice. So yeah, I draw Dreadful Spells, which is also handy. He gets another Elite in Minister. I should have just attacked. If I was going to go for Minister, I should have gone for this turn. But this would have been a nice turn. I wouldn't have been able to muster anything else in Orthanc. He can kill all my leadership, but then I can get Nazgul here. So do I need it? Yeah, this would have been a nice turn to do, like, 1 attack, 2 attacks, 3 attacks, and then do some kind of, maybe with the final die, I can do like a Shadow Lengthens into here. And maybe even move here and then do another Shadow Lengthens up to there and save the Shadows Gather. Or I use the Shadows Gather to take all 3. I don't know. I could have done something tricksy here. But I go for Minas Tirith like a dope. He moves Rohan towards war. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Do I risk it? It seems fun. Yes, he does. He gets Rohan 1 step away from war. I realized, I was like, oh crap, have I accidentally used my hybrid die? But then, or a muster, I don't roll a muster or a hybrid this turn, so I can't get the mouth. Anyway, so I move Nazgul up to Rivendell. He moves Gandalf to Rohan. So obviously he is indicating here that he is going to play We Prove the Swifter and put Gandalf on Rivendell. Normally, I think this would prompt me to play the Fighting Uruk-hai, because I'm like, I need to kill these mofos. Play Fighting Uruk-hai, go into Devery of Orthanc, kill this thing. There's a very decent chance I take that down. But I'm like, actually, if he does bring Gandhi up here, I can then play my Shadows Gather with the mouth next turn and probably just kill Gandhi. Like mouth plus 1 elite. He doesn't know that I have Shadows Gather, but the fact that I do, and the fact the mouth is going to come into Moria, means I've got a great shot at just taking down Rivendell with Gandhi inside. So this is kind of nice, because I'm also glad to see him go here, because I think if Gandalf goes into Minas Tirith, like my chance of taking Minas Tirith basically go down to like minuscule, whereas I can take Rivendell with Gandhi in it. So I wasn't sad to see this. So I attack Rivendell anyway. I'm still, again, trying to cycle character cards, try and find some more red tiles, Candles of Corpses, anything to just throw at the free people. Because he's on net 4 corruption. He does, unbeknownst to me, have Bilbo's Song. But I'm still thinking corruption is probably my best shot of actually winning this game. This is kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll just attack into Rivendell, see how it goes, free up some space for my reinforcements and cycle cards. I decide to save the... Okay, so I get 1 hit. He gets 2 back, because of the Valor. I draw Phlox, which is not very useful. He plays Weeper and Swifter, as predicted. And then I start joining up guys in Pelargir. Maybe should have moved everyone in, actually. I think that would have probably... Am I really worried about 3 people military stuff? I shouldn't be. But I decided to be cautious. Yeah, I think that's probably it. You never know how important these things can be, as we will see. So he now gets There Is Another Way. So he's getting some pretty great cards for the Fellowship in terms, like, he's got File, the best of the blue tiles. The only thing, There Is Another Way, and Bilbo's Song. So the best card, the one he really wants, is Mithril. But these are all extremely useful. Not what I want to be seeing. Although I do have a couple of red tiles in there myself, of course, and I've had some decent Attack the Fellowship cards. So now he doesn't roll a single move. This is very lucky for me. That's extremely unlikely. But he has There Is Another Way, and he has rings. So he uses a ring, moves the Fellowship, draws 1 reveal, kills Bozza, which means he can then play There Is Another Way. So that's actually very handy for him. Bilbo's Song and There Is Another Way this turn suddenly gives really good usage for his Palantirs. If it had been like what could it be like? I mean, yeah, anything here is pretty good. A 1 would have been awkward. Everything else is kind of fine. A 2, he could... Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah. So that's perfect for Biz. I get the mouth. He plays Bilbo's song. I say nice. We talk about how awkward it is to have that turn 1. He plays There's Another Way. So I get another elite into Moria. Why not? Actually, you haven't said that. That might have been actually... Did I need another elite? Maybe that would have been better used as an... Yeah, these are the kind of little things I need to iron out. Because this is a big army. It's going to have an extra 4 HP in it, regardless of that elite. And I need to kind of do shit this turn. So I think that was a slight mistake. I think I should have probably just gone in with what I had and relied on the Fighting Urukai to do its job, which it should do. Then he moves again, and then he draws File. So I'm like, oh man. Like, I was hoping to at least make corruption a thing this game, because, where was he? He was only on 3. So, but like, with 2 moves left, if he's on 5, say he gets an eye or something like that, or a 3, maybe that's 5 or 6. That does mean the next turn, if there's a few eyes in the box, like, he won't be able to necessarily move twice freely. So to see him, like, what a horrific turn for me. Like, Bilbo Song into There's Another Way into File. Like, that is, like, given he had no movement, that's an incredible turn for the free people. So the Fellowship. So I was thinking, okay, that's probably the game. I say that hurts a lot. I say probably GG. That's what it felt like. I do my Shadows Gather, get my big army up there. He says, you have chances. Gandalf probably bit off more than he can chew here. And I do have Ring Wraiths, so I can do some stuff this turn still. So anyway, I play Fighting Urukai. And I can't remember what I go with, presumably Relentless Assault. Yeah, so Relentless Assault is advantageous. I've got a big army, so I just take the hits anyway, which is good. Very good that I did that, because it gets me 2 hits, which I would not have got otherwise. He gets none back. Yeah, we assume he's shining, Gandalf's shining. But I still get 3 rerolls because of my army composition. Second round, Great Host. And that is 2 + 1. So yes, that kills the Gandyman, which is also good for me because that means it limits how much movement the Fellowship are going to have next turn. He's going to need, if he gets revealed in that 1 move, he'd need 3 moves, or at least to roll 2, and also not hit a red. So killing Gandhi there was, yeah, I think that helped me more than it helped him, having Gandhi up there. Anyway, so he does some mustering, regular in Losanak and in Ered Luin. A leader up in Ered Luin. Okay. So that guy in Losanak's really annoying because I am holding the Shadow Lengthens, and I was hoping. So he's obviously preempting that. He's like, that's the sole reason you do that move. Well, yeah, kind of. It's just annoying in general. It slows me down. Maybe it takes a hit, but I think the main reason is actually to stop stuff like Shadow Lengthens. So really good play there by Biz. I play Ring Wraiths. Kind of a bit desperate here, I think. I need to win this turn, I think. Try and take Minas Tirith in basically 2 goes without many cards, and then take Dale. So bit of a, he's got 8 HP and I've got 11 HP. Not feeling good about this at all, but I have to go for it. So I play my They Are Terrible, and I get 5 hits, which is wild. That is a very, very, very good roll. He gets 4 back, which is painful. But the 5 hits for me are way bigger than the 4 for him. And now I'm in with a legit chance of taking him down. And I draw into Crueller's Death, which means that if I can get any hits on this, if I roll 5s and that, I basically am going to win the game because he can't defend Dale with the single hybrid. So I've got a really, really good chance of winning the game, surprisingly. He says, best They Are Terrible I've ever seen. So that was, freakishly good They Are Terrible. So I do still have a way to win this game. So I play, I decide to, go. I could have used that on the Fellowship, I suppose. But you got to go for the military win this turn, and it's my only playable card. Maybe there's an argument there to actually, you know what? Oh no, okay. So I was thinking maybe there's an argument there to stop, and then you can then play Orc Patrol, keep an extra elite in there, and get another card cycle, which could be really handy both for the Fellowship and for kind of. So I think there's a legit argument there. But the argument against that is, what if he's holding Guards of the Citadel? Which he is, I'll have you know. So as it was, this was the correct decision. Maybe, do you gamble? I think with the Crueller's Death, with only 3 HP, and you've still got another die to attack, I think this is correct. Just go for it. You just need 2 5s and 1 6, something like that. I get the 6. It's not enough. So yeah, I got lucky in the first round of combat, but the dice evened out. He gets 1 back. But I'm thinking, okay, 5 against 2. I don't have any cards, but I could still win this. And then he plays Guards. And I'm like, bollocks. Now I need to just roll 4 natural 6s on 10 dice, which is very unlikely. So I'm thinking, okay, that's not looking good for me now. I said, yeah. He says, that was closer than it should have been. I said, yeah, I thought I had it. But anyway, I overall, I think it was probably, the dice certainly averaged out. And that was probably still in my favor regardless. So I go for Minas Tirith. I feel like at this point, you've got to just go for it. Hope you get lucky. Might mean Dead Witch King, but if those 3 5s, if those 3s have been 6s, maybe I could win the game. Luckily, he only gets 2 back. Does mean that he's in the kind of sortie territory, certainly. A bit risky, but yeah. And now I use a ring to draw a character card. So my thinking was he's going to have to move twice next turn. If I can draw something like, I don't know, just basically a red tile. I was hoping for another red tile. So for his second move, I'll be able to plop it in the hat and give myself a shot. So we go on to turn 10. I draw Corsairs / Deadly Strife and a Nazgul Search, which is not the character card I was looking for. And he says, likely down to the roll and reds. So I get a roll with just enough, and he gets this roll, which is a dream roll, really. I don't have Day Without Dawn, but even if I did, am I going to play it? Because he's going to use this straight away anyway. So yeah, he gets all the movement he could ever need. So that's very useful. And I'm thinking this ain't looking too good. However, the hunt pool is quite small. There are 2 reds in there. And I do have good cards to win this game. I have the Corsairs. So if I can get this army up here, then I can probably take down Minas Tirith. So, but I don't have any elites, which is troublesome. So he moves, draws an eye, which is I like to see because there's a lot of eyes in the box. So that takes him up to from 2 to 5. Wait, that should be 6. Oh, from 1. He was on 1. Bloody hell, he was so low. That corruption's so low. So he goes up to 5. So he can still comfortably move without an eye. Still won't kill him. So I'm reliant on a red now. So I'm having a thinking here. This is really tricky because I need to balance everything out. So I have the shadows lengthens to be able to move these armies into here and this army into here, or these armies into, because I need to make sure that I can A, get an army into Minas Tirith big enough to take it down. I need to B, make sure an army is big enough in Peligir to hold out against these guys attacking. If I do roll a red, I need to make sure that I have an actual attack to go from Erebor into Dale. So it's quite a little bit of thinking. But I'm also I want to have a chance of being able to hurt the Fellowship as well in case I do draw a red tile. So I kind of have a big think, and then I draw a shadow character card. And I draw Grond, which is not useful for hurting the Fellowship, but is very useful for Minas Tirith. So he hides now. So now I'm pretty much reliant on a red tile. He says, don't think I can do anything else. And it looks like a straight 70% chance, 75% chance to win. But even if he hits Shelob, he's going to have depending on how painful the Shelob is, he's going to have another go. So the one red is the one I'm looking for. So he says, honestly, losing Gandalf cost me. So yeah, Gandalf dying, it would have given him another, because he'd been able to use the ring on that extra move, whatever it was the other time. So I go for the Losanak mofo, kill him. He doesn't do any damage back, and I send 5 up. So maybe because I'm holding Grond. I think I probably should have left 1 extra one behind, because 7 against 3 with Grond and a Deadly Strife, that should be enough. Whereas a 2 against a 2, like, if he attacks, because he doesn't know that I have he doesn't have Grond, and B, he doesn't know that I have Shadow Lengthens. So I think if he attacks into Pelargir here, maybe even sorties. We talked about because he is holding an advantage position and a Heroic Death, which are great sortying cards. Sortying is risky, but it might have worked. But I think potentially just having a go at Pelargir 2v2 it's your best chance of taking Pelargir. What do you think is the best move there? Sortying or going for Pelargir? Or to be honest, like, if you hit Shelob, you could just move again. So probably best to just move. I think that's very reasonable. Here we go. And it's the one reveal, the one tile specifically that he really, really didn't want to see. I say, oh, ouch. And that takes him to 6 corruption, and he can't dunk this turn. Obviously, that's lucky for me. But I've had 2 tiles in there for the entirety of Mordor, and it's not been a big pool. So I would say the odds of you hitting at least one of those reds, I don't know the odds, but the odds of you hitting one of those reds on 5 moves, it's probably above 50%, I would guess. Maybe even higher. So I think, like, I didn't feel like I was super lucky there. I felt like that was kind of what you should expect. So I wasn't like, oh, really, I've been, got out of jail. Like, I put those reds in there for this exact reason. So I think that was, it's what I deserve, because that's how it works in this game. But I was like, okay. But he says, so can you win now? Now that's the question. So now I think, like, what was I thinking here? Lots of options here. So I was thinking, like, could use the Shadow Lengthens, but which armies do I use it on? I guess what I was worried about him doing was if he sorties here from Erebor and gets a shitload of hits into this army might be, because he's got, say, rolling on 5 dice, I don't know what he could even play there, advantageous or whatever. If he rolls 5 hits, this army, there's a world where this army might be too small to take this down. I was probably overthinking that, to be honest, because if he does attack into Erebor, he still can't take back Dale, and then this army can just move into Withered Heath, which has 3 guys in it anyway. He's not going to get 5. Even if he gets 5 hits, that's still a 5 army against all. Yeah, so I made a miscalculation on my part. Is I attacked Dale from Erebor first, because I was worried about him sortying there. Whereas in reality, what I should have done is I should have actually played the Shadow Lengthens here to get this guy into Pelargir, this army into Minas Tirith. Also stops him doing a desperate sortie as well. If he pushes my army out, limits my attacks. Probably would have had enough either way. But anyway, I think I did this the wrong way round. So yeah, I should have not worried about him sortying up there, because I would have been fine regardless. Anyway, and I know he hasn't got what's it called? The mustering card in Dale. Anyway, so I take Dale. I'm up to 8 victory points. Now I've just got and I've got Shadow Lengthens, and I've got a Grond, and I've got a Deadly Corsairs, Deadly Strife. So he passes here, and I'm so glad he passes here, because I really was worried that his best chance of winning the game here would have been attacking into Pelargir and taking it. Because then, what could I have done there? I don't have any natural attacks. So I think I would have straight lost the game if he takes back Peligir, most likely. So yeah, I did get that wrong, but now he passes, which I think is a mistake. And that allows me to get the extra guy into Peligir, crucially, and also get all my guys into Minas Tirith. And that's why then Biz is annoyed at himself. He's stupid. Why did I do that, idiot? And I think that was the chance, yeah. So I think I overthought it up in the Dew line. I should have just done that Shadow Lengthens play straight away. I'm not worried about the Dew line at all. He now goes for Peligir. He said if you had Black Captain, I would make your life easier. Yeah, so he was worried about me having Black Captain. But it was 2 cards versus 1, so darn. Okay. Yeah, so slight miscalculation there. So he plays advantageous. It doesn't work. I get 1 hit. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Sorry. Advantage blocks it. He gets no hits. I get a hit. He says GG, press. I get my hits. So yeah, those guys fail, unfortunately, for him in Osgiliath. Then I play Grond. Corsairs. And it's GG. So yeah, a really interesting game with some very pivotal decisions. I think it's been useful to play it back. The little mistakes I made, I think, were a couple of minor misjudgments in terms of mustering. I think there was a useless muster I did an Orthanc, unless my intention was to go for Helm's Deep. I think on reflection, what do you think was the better target? If you were in my shoes and you had an army in, where was it, like Dead Marshes or whatever, would you have gone for Helm's Deep with these 2 armies, got Edoras on the way? It's a more simple, concentrated usage of the dice. It gives a great use for shadows, whatever. One of the Shadow Lengthens or Shadows Gather cards. Maybe both. And I got lucky in Minas Tirith. You know, if I hadn't got that freakish roll, or he had sent Gandalf there, I think that would have been very bad. But at the same time, he did have 2 end cards, and he's got a Hobbit in there, which activates cards like Heroic Death. Like he could have made life difficult. I mean, we've all seen it happen. Helm's Deep can be like the hardest nut to crack. So what do you think? Did I choose the wrong target there? Not sure. I also think I made a mistake by attacking Iron Hills in the way that I did. I think that was dumb. I would have been better off going for Dale and then going for combining there and then going for Erebor. But at the same time, little did I know, I was kind of screwed either way. He would have just used the hybrid to move the guy in, and then he would have used Day 9 Fitzguard regardless. So like this was kind of a bit of a... I would have had a better chance of taking it down if you only have 1 muster of an elite in there. But I certainly would have made it harder for him. So yeah, I think I played okay. I think I did some things good. Played to my outs. I think the hybrid strategy actually worked because I was able to slow him just enough. And if he didn't have really good cards like Bilbo Song and hadn't drawn File and got, that kind of stuff, he played it well. He had to be very patient with the Bilbo Song. But getting the Reds in there, pressuring the Fellowship, I think it did help. Because military was pretty slow to begin with, and Rivendell was a good play, I think. But yeah, interesting one. I think the Gandhi play worked out better for me than it did for Biz. I think if Biz had just got him into... When it became clear my target, okay, Minas Tirith was... I think we chatted about it afterwards, and Biz said, well, Minas Tirith looked so well defended, I don't think I had to worry about it. But you know how it is. What if I did have Grond and, if I'd drawn Grond and... what do you call it? Corsairs a turn earlier, I could have taken it down with that relatively small army, potentially. So Gandalf in there, suddenly those cards are all basically off the table. A lot of them are off the table. Like, they are terrible. Can't play it because Gandhi's in there being a dick. So yeah, I think that was... you can see what it made sense, because if you get to Rivendell and then I fail to take Rivendell and I don't have Shadows Gather, maybe I'm just marooned and I can't take it, and it's really expensive and slow for me to reinforce. But as it was, with the mouth about to come into play and with a leader up there, a Warg, whatever, and Shadows Gather, it basically, Gandalf didn't really make any difference in that fight at all. And it kind of played into my hands a little bit, because if he did have a single extra move at the end, maybe he's able to get over the line. because he wouldn't have used that other die to. I can't think he used one of those dice to do something that was non-Fellowship movement related. I think so, yeah. But an interesting game nonetheless. Yeah, little issues to iron out, but I think I played all right. And Biz probably on total balance deserved to win it, but I think I played well enough to make it so it was a pretty even game. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Love you. Bye-bye.